Hello there. So we're back again. Like I said, somebody sent a message to ask. So what was the point of all of this? Which I have already explained in other videos, but I thought I'll still touch base and of course and bring this to light. And in particular about Turkey in what they call the white meat industry, which is the poultry aspect. Um, and the speakers there were talking about the challenges, in the poultry industry or the white meat industry, which is across the world. But they actually homed in on the thing, and they said that the challenge is that in Europe, the red meat poses a big challenge to the poultry in industry. So therefore, it makes exportation of the white meat, business very, very hard. But then I ask myself a question. If you go to Africa right now, there's a lot of importation of meat, poultry meat, big business. So people are not even patronizing the meat that are produced locally, which takes scrumptious. But so I asked myself a question. I says, why, if Turkey is now moaning about, red meat competing with their industry, what are we Africans doing when we have big lands and all the infrastructures that we can put in place? We'll look into that. But they're saying that they're saying that the target for white meat is 1 billion euros. That's a lot of figures out there, and so if they are not making that, they can then send to the likes of Ghana, Nigeria, you name it, and make business there, because our own people are not willing to invest into this kind of field. Those of you that have lived in diaspora that knows how chicken in Europe tastes chicken in America, which called those. God, there's a thing they clean with some chemicals they clean these chicken with. Some time ago, UK had a low issues during the Brexit time. We'll go into that at some videos, but some of these dead meats or dead white meat, which is a chicken, end up in Africa because the Europeans are not taking it because of the competition from the red meat, bird flu. Other expenditures and high costs of producing these, so they just produce everything and then says, well, let's go and dump it in Africa. But this is where you and I need to stand up and says, well, we're going back to Africa, where we come from, various places where we all come from, to see if we can enter into this kind of business. But do it right. Not just leave it for people to do, but do it right. Take the knowledge from here and transpose it to your kind of business, and so that's that. But it did come up and says that that white meat industry, according to the speakers, it says Turkey export to 99 countries. So is your country one of those that receive white meat from Turkey, i.e., poultry products, poultry meat from your country? From Turkey? Well, probably yes. And in what state? Do you know what you're eating? Well, I'm not here to judge, but I'm simply saying we can actually look into it and say we can produce it ourselves. We can, because we have the land. We just need the time to get on with it. And so that's what it says. It ranks the 8th in the world in exporting white meat. 8th. How many African countries can boast of exporting white meat to Europe? Boy, let me take my glasses off. I can't even see right. It's a shocking, stagnant figures to think about it, but it is what it is, because At the end of the day, we only produce locally. We only produce what we can consume on a very small scale. One or two reasons, or very factual reasons, cost of production, which most African governments don't really invest in poultry. Very few of them invest into poultry industry, and so the business is in terms of what do you call it? Helping the local farmers or the local farmers to come up with a credible business plan is not. And one of the things we'll be talking about very soon is the SMEs, and the small medium enterprises in the context of poultry or agriculture. The government don't really spend, the local African government don't really spend time and money on those small businesses, and there's that niche is out there. Because those small ones are the ones that can help the economy grow. And so there's this, and there was also feed industry representative that came in and he spoke about that. And I sat there and I think, hang on a minute, they're talking about these things, the maize. If you go to Zimbabwe, they produce maize. If you go to even places like South Africa, Ghana, for instance, Burkina Faso, all these countries, they have the lands to produce, but there are scarcity for the local farmers, for the local poultry or white meat producer. And so they end up importing from the various countries, from Africa, from the likes of Turkey and it. And these things we'll go into depth to why these things are happening, and therefore why it makes it hard for the diasporans who have the money to go into poultry or agriculture business, very reluctant to get into it. There was egg industry, my favorite egg industry.